Hi everybody, my name is Tyler and I want to share with you how I got into optometry school. So the reason that I decided to pursue optometry school is just by the amount of times I shadowed optometrists around the city I went to college in. They really inspired me. They seemed like down-to-earth, smart, kind, caring individuals, and I felt like I fit in with that. So I kind of want to share a little bit about my story and how I got to where I am. So I know a lot of recent high school graduates and early college students are kind of thinking about what they want to do with their lives. And I know a lot of you are thinking about going to med school or vet school. So I just want to share with you a little bit about how I got to where I am and why I chose the profession of optometry. So a little bit about my story. I first came into college thinking I wanted to go to med school, just like everybody else. And then when I started getting into the flow of things, I went to the pre-med meetings, the pre-med club meetings, and I shadowed a couple doctors here and there. And mainly what I saw were a bunch of patients that just seemed depressed and like complained all the time. And I know that's not true for what every physician encounters, but I felt like there might be a chance where I might end up in that area. And so I thought that wasn't going to make me happy. So I decided to not pursue med school after that. After that, I tried to give dental school a shot. I thought, going to a couple pre-dent meetings was a good idea. And it turned out for me, I didn't really fit in there either. I learned that a lot of dentists have the potential to develop a lot of neck and back problems in the future for always hunching over their patients. And that was a pretty strong indication for me of why I didn't want to pursue dental school. And so I kind of stumbled on optometry through my pre-health advisors at my university, and they kind of steered me in the right way. I started going to more club meetings, and I started shadowing doctors more and more, and it turned out it was more of the area I belonged to. So what is optometry? Optometry is the profession in the healthcare professions that's specific to preventing and diagnosing eye diseases, as well as providing corrective eye care. So they're your primary care physician for your eyes, essentially. So there's 3 O terms that are thrown around the profession a lot, and a lot of people don't know what those are. The first one is an optometric technician, which is the one that's required, the one that doesn't require a ton of training to achieve. And essentially those people help the optometrist or the eye doctor perform pre-tests, deal with insurance work, and also train people how to put contacts in and out. And there's also a lot of other things that they do as well, but those are kind of the main things they do. The second O is an optometrist, otherwise known as an eye doctor. And so that's the school I'm currently about to go to. And so, like I said before, an optometrist will prevent and diagnose eye diseases, as well as provide corrective eye care. The third O is an ophthalmologist, and an ophthalmologist is an eye surgeon. And so those doctors actually have to go through medical school first, and then they get specialized in performing eye surgery. So that's something that you're interested in, you want to deal with treating cataracts or glaucoma, check out research a little bit about what an ophthalmologist does and the amount of training in school that goes into becoming that. Because you don't want to get into optometry school thinking that that's where you're going to end up, because that's not the case. So those are the 3 O's: optometric technician, optometrist, and ophthalmologist. So for all of those of you out there that might not know what you want to do, some of you know that you want to do something in the health professions, but you're not really too sure where. I suggest explore as much as you can. Get out there, ask questions, ask to shadow people, because looking back, you don't want to regret going to school not knowing what you're in for. And that can really add drastic effects on your life later on down the road. So get your exploration out now, know more than your peers, and you know that you'll be making a well-informed decision whether you go into the healthcare professions or not. So from my experience, and I think a lot of people would also agree with me here, is that there are 3 crucial steps in order for you to be considered for an optometry school interview. I'd say the number one thing is to know what prereqs are required for that school. And a lot that goes into that obviously is getting good grades. But they also want to see that you can be consistent with different types of science classes, whether it be organic chemistry, biology, gen chem, physiology, neuroanatomy, anything like that. And so it's really important if you know where you want to go to optometry school, to look up their prerequisites so you know that you're on the right track. I'd say the second thing is to achieve a good optometry admissions test score. It's commonly referred as the OAT or the OAT. And so what I did for that was I took the on-demand Kaplan option. And so what I did there was I had access, about a 3-month access to this online study session where I was lectured for about 3 hours at a time. There's about 11 lectures covering everything from organic chemistry, biology, gen chem, all of that. And so I thought it really prepared me well. I was kind of the type of person that needs to study alone and be really focused in a quiet environment. So it's really best for me that way. I know other people function differently. Some people study better in groups. And so that's definitely an option for you to do that Kaplan method. I highly recommend it if you're like me and you need to study by yourself. And I'd say the third thing that's most important in scoring an optometry school interview would be to get as much experience in the workforce as possible. I know that I didn't have the most experience out of other people that got interviews with me, but I had enough knowledge to know what pre-testing was, how to treat patients as they come in, inform them of what they need to know to see the doctor both before and afterwards. So I kind of saw a lot of the inner workings of the business, and I was able to deliver that knowledge in my interview. So again, 3 steps: know your prereqs for the school you want to go to, get good grades in those prerequisite courses as well, score a good OAT score. You could possibly use the Kaplan method. I know there's other resources out there for that too. And the third would be to get as much experience as possible in the field. I also want to share with you a couple interviewing tips that I used for my optometry school interview. I'd say there's 3 things to keep in mind. The first being is talk with a passion. Nobody wants to sit down with somebody that is not fully invested in them. Nobody wants to date anybody that's boring, is monotone, and doesn't act like they care. And so your interviewers are gonna be looking for that. They want optimistic, young, inspiring individuals to make a difference for their school, knowing that they can fully trust you to make a difference outside once you're a graduate from that school, to make a true difference in the world. And so talk with a passion. Know that you want to do it. And if you have the interview, you already have that passion to get there. All you have to do is deliver it. Focus on tone. Focus on the way your words come out. Be calm. Be relaxed. Smile. Everything else that's pretty basic for an interview. The second thing I would say is to share your experience. If you come into an interview and you can show how much you know, not in a bragging way, but a humble, objective way that you learned some of the profession, is going to give you a leg up on the competition. And so I was lucky enough to share what I learned from my job, and that was, I think I said, I know that there's different branches of optometry. I knew how pre-testing works. I knew what an autorefractor is, what a phoropter does, and essentially a little bit of the business side as well. And so if you can share that, you are golden. Because if you think about it, when you get into an interview, it's essentially just a social test. Um, they already know your test scores, they know your GPA, they know your experience on paper. Pretty much from there is, are you going to fit in here? And are you passionate? And are you knowledgeable enough to make that next level happen, to be an optometrist? And the third thing I would say is to try to get the interviewers talking more than you. This is something that I learned from my boss, Dr. Bryant, who changed, it had a huge impact on my life, and I knew it helped out in my interview. Because if you think about it, after the slew of questions is done, you answer the best of your ability, and then you get the opportunity to ask questions. Essentially, that's the time when you have the opportunity to change it from an interview to a conversation. And so I had a couple questions at the ready for them. I mean, you don't have to remember a lot of questions. You don't want to be a robot and ask, A, B, C, D, all in this order. Once you ask the first couple questions, you kind of get a flow with people. And from there, a conversation takes off, a connection's made. And essentially, at the end of that, if you can establish some sort of personal connection with your interviewers, you leave the room and you leave them feeling like, wow, that was a good interview. I really felt like I connected with that guy, and I think he'd be a good fit for us. And so I would strongly suggest having a couple questions in mind. Try to turn the interview into more of a conversation, because essentially an interview is a social test. So again, talk with a passion, share what you know from your experience, and also turn the interview into a conversation if you can. So I kind of want to end on a note of why I decided to go to optometry school. And so every time I'm asked this question, I always answer it a little bit differently. But essentially, I was inspired by the doctors that I learned from in college. I think a lot of what I wanted to achieve is to be around like-minded people that want to make a positive difference in the world. Many optometrists that I've seen and have interacted with are self-motivated doers. They're positive thinkers. They want to make a difference in people's lives, and they want to make their patients more satisfied once they leave the optometry chair and go out and enjoy their corrected vision. And I've spent a lot of time thinking about why I want to be an optometrist. It provides a good, safe atmosphere. It's indoors. It pays well. It allows me to not be behind a desk, which I promised myself I wouldn't do, and I'm glad I didn't. It provides a good balance between interacting with patients and also, conducting eye exams too. So that it's not all one-sided. You're not always talking with people, and you're not always grinding on a certain task. I also, I think that I wanted to get into the profession because I knew that many patients that come in are usually either in a neutral mood or a good mood. Most of the time you're dealing with healthy people, they're upbeat, and it kind of provides that happiness in the workplace. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope I could help out some of you that are on that journey right now, and hopefully everything works out. Best of luck.